Jesus is back and available and fit, and with Kai Havertz also returning, Mikel Arteta has 4 potential strikers to choose from. But which one is the best option? All of them offer different things. We compared them here when they have started up front in the Premier League, and yes, we have included Mikel Merino. Now, as before, if you've got green in your column, that's good. You rank top out of the 4. If there's red in your column, that's not so good. You're going to rank bottom out of the 4 of these players who've played up front. Now, Mikel Merino on the end there, he edges it in terms of goals per 90, but actually it's fairly negligible between him, Jesus, and Kai Havertz as well. Jesus is the one that actually has lots of shots per game, but he's actually got a fairly low conversion rate there at just 13.6%. He does like to get involved in the game, though. Lots of touches, 50.8 per game, significantly higher than the other 3. But it's fair to say, if we take a look at Viktor Gyökeres's column, there is red there, and actually he ranks bottom out of the 4 in 3 out of our 5 metrics. He is lowest for touches and also aerials 1. And if we continue on the Gyökeres theme, he has 5 Premier League goals. But if we look at the fewest goals by a title-winning team's top scorer, we see that Gyökeres has a fair way to go between now and the end of the season. Frank Lampard and Ilkay Gundogan with 13 goals are the lowest. Eric Cantona, Mark Hughes, Teddy Sheringham, Kevin De Bruyne all make the list. So I guess the question is, if Arsenal are going to win the title, does Gyökeres, at least he needs to get double figures, but is he going to get there, Mark?
He could. He's got the ability to, there's no doubt about it whatsoever. I think he's a top-quality player, but he needs time to adjust. It's not the straightforward Arsenal, the way in which they play. I think players coming back is going to help him to lift the burden. The competitions they're playing in, they'd certainly, if not one individual is going to reach those goals, it's about spreading the goals. And I think that's what Arsenal have done very well this season, spreading them around the team, which they've had to.
Yeah, and if you look, actually, Manchester City, there's a couple of people on the list from City, the years when Aguero was injured for a season where they really spread the goals out. It might feel unusual to people at home for us to be saying, well, it's fine for Gyökeres not to score because they can share the goals around when they've spent all that money on a striker.
It is, and I think that's where the pressure mounts, isn't it? Because you've spent so much money on a player, you've been desperately trying to get a striker for such a long period of time. That's the one sort of piece of the jigsaw that you feel like you're missing, and it kind of hasn't really worked as yet, but there's still time to go. Will he finish in double figures? I think he will. I really do. I think he's good enough to finish in double figures. I think the question mark will be how much game time will he get. I mean, now that Kai Havertz is back, I think he's a massive player to have back in the ranks. You heard that Mikel Arteta spoke very, very highly of him after the game on the weekend, how excited he was to see him back on the training field, back involved on matchday squads.
You said they'd obviously hoped Arsenal that he'd be the final piece of the missing piece of the jigsaw. He's actually failed to score, Gyökeres, in 23 of his 28 games. 7 goals so far in all competitions. He was prolific in Portugal. In his all-round play, though, is he contributing enough, goals aside, to this team?
Probably not, no. I mean, I think his involvement in the game itself, we saw there with his touches on that board there, the touches are just not enough. His involvement in the game isn't enough. And I suppose you could look at when he played at Sporting Lisbon, what sort of player was he? He was a player that often balls played over the top. Almost like a little bit almost counter football, you know, a quick transition of football, which Arsenal can do at times, but they are also about linking up play quite considerably, and I think that's something that he's really struggled with. When you look at Gabriel Jesus' stats, his involvement with build-up play, link-up play, I think has been also vital, and he's been a big miss since coming back, that period of time when he's been out injured.
Yeah, having him and Havertz, as you say, both back now.
Yeah.
On the Jesus line of things, how big a claim does he have now to be starting ahead of Gyökeres? How much pressure is he putting on him?
Well, I mean, I think, look, having him back, getting back to fitness, he's only been back since middle of December, so that's going to take a bit of time as well. I thought, you know, his involvement on the weekend was positive. Kai Havertz's involvement, straight away, you looked at Kai Havertz coming on against Portsmouth on the weekend. I know it was Portsmouth, but still, it's a big game. It's an FA Cup game away from home, being out for such a long, nearly a year out through injury. He looked very sharp. So can that progression continue? Can he get match fit? Can he stay fit? And I think there's going to be a real juggling act with all being involved still in every competition for Arsenal. Mikel Arteta's going to need these players. He's going to need all of them.
Do you think he'll hang his hat on one in particular? in terms of winning the title, which is the one that Arsenal are desperate to achieve?
I think sometimes you've got to stick with someone, go with them, and you've got to try and force them into some sort of form. Give them a bit of game time to allow them to find some consistency. And that's what I think he'll do. I think with someone like Kai Havertz in particular, I think he will give him the amount of game time he needs to try in a run of games to try and hit some form and a run of goals.
OK, Mark, thank you very much indeed. Let's get some more now. Shall we head to this big game tonight? What a match in store at Stamford Bridge. It is the first leg of the Carabao Cup semi-final. Chelsea looking to beat Arsenal for the first time since 2021, would you believe? Let's go there now to our reporter, Gary Cottrell. He's pitchside and he's with a former Arsenal striker. Gary.
Yeah, prestige, blue chip, top game this, and of course, who else for a prestige blue chip top game than a prestige blue chip top co-commentator?
I wonder where you were going there.
Alan Smith joins me. Alan, Liam Rossini's first game in the dugout as a new head coach at Stamford Bridge. Couldn't be a much bigger occasion, could it? How important is it for the doubting fans, and there are plenty of them, that at least tonight it's a good performance and hopefully some kind of result?
Yeah, I mean, it is a big night for him, a big game for everybody, for both sides. But I think the fans, you know, obviously they've been protesting about the ownership, the way the club's being led, and they'll be looking at Liam's starting 11 and their style of play, and is it any different to Maresca's? Because there were a few doubters, those that didn't like the patient playing across the back and what have you. But yeah, he needs a result. It's a big night for him.
Yeah, definitely one to keep an eye on in the remaining days of the window. Before we go, let's move on to round up the other stories making the headlines this week. Interesting one about Ben White not getting the game time probably that he wanted, not least because of injury, but also because of the form of Jurrien Timber at Arsenal. And a number of clubs in the Premier League and in Europe are keeping an eye on his situation there at Arsenal. The information we have is unlikely to be a move in January, but more looking ahead to the summer. So if we were to fast forward, Dan, to that time, which Premier League club do you think would benefit most from Ben White? I'm guessing there would be a few.
Yeah, I mean, I think Ben White's a great player. And as you've touched on there, it's really a measure of how ludicrously stacked Arsenal are at the back, that he's not getting in their side. I know he has had injury problems as well, but there was a period where he was pretty flawless for them week in, week out, and obviously can play a couple of positions, and you know, just appeared to be a very, very reliable Premier League player. So I don't think there's many clubs in the Premier League that wouldn't benefit from having Ben White in the squad, to be honest. I mean, I know we're looking ahead to the summer, but I mean, even Liverpool, who now have a problem at right back with Conor Bradley's injury, Newcastle have an issue there as well because Livramento's got another hamstring injury. So those are two clubs. Whether or not Arsenal would deal with them is a different question. But you know, those are two clubs that I think would benefit from having Ben White in the squad. I know he's been strongly linked with Everton. With the very greatest respect to Everton, I think he could play for a club pushing for Europe. I'll be interested in Sam's take about Villa. I mean, they've obviously got options there, and Matty Cash is extremely reliable. But as I said at the top, you know, I don't think there's many clubs in the Premier League that wouldn't want a Ben White in their squad.
Yeah, Villa are running on one right back, really. It's a dicey game to play. Lamar Bogard can play there, but he's not most comfortable there. Andres Garcia has been injured and has barely played since about May. So Villa are playing a dicey game at right back, and Ben White, just like everything I know about what Unai Emery has looked for in a right back in previous roles, Ben White looks like that player. You know, it's the kind of Juan Foyt hybrid centre-back, right back that Emery just has always liked, the one that can tuck in to make a back three and allow the left back to fly forward, which is really how Villa's squad has been built, with Ian Maatsen flying up and down the left. So I think Villa would be a dream scenario for Ben White, to be honest with you, if that were to happen over the course of 2026. But we'll see. There's a lot of football to play yet for Arsenal, and he might work his way back in.
Gabby, thanks for joining me. How would you reflect on the season so far? Obviously, the start of the season, you were recovering from the injury. Now you're back into the side, you're contributing. How does it feel?
Feels amazing because, you know, it's such a privilege to play football because we love it. So and then play for a huge club like Arsenal. So it's a big privilege for all of us. And then obviously to being the position we are now is good. It's very good.
Do you feel like yourself again? Because I know some players say when they come back from injury, it takes them a few weeks, might take them a few months. How do you feel?
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. Obviously, there is still few things that needs time, but otherwise, you know, I'm feeling good. Like fitness, I need obviously. I have been 11 months away from playing, so fitness is, I think, the last thing he'll come back. Because on the ball, I'm okay. I think who watch it could see that I'm getting better. Each game I play, I'm getting better. So yeah, I'm happy. You know, everything is going in a good way.
I love that. And I know setbacks are obviously a part of football. And you mentioned openly after the game a few weeks ago about your religion and how the faith helped you come back to football. How important has that been? And also the team and, you know, the Christians in the team, how important has that camaraderie been for you to get back to yourself?